A few more feet and ocean-going.
C News. This is Later Today with Jody Applegate, Asha Blake, and Florence Henderson. Live from Rockefeller Center.
Good morning and welcome to Later Today. I'm Jody Applegate along with Asha Blake and Florence Henderson.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Jody. How are you doing? Oh, I'm doing pretty well. Did you have nice weekends?
Oh, yes, it was a great weekend. John got back from Florida, and Friday night I got to go see my darling friend Barbara Cook, one of the greatest Broadway singers of all time, or just singer, period. And that was so uplifting and so wonderful for me. We used to work together. She starred in The Music Man on Broadway and many other shows.
She's great. I hear she's great.
Oh, terrific. Yeah, it was a beautiful weekend here in New York, ironically.
Yes. Yeah, we actually got out quite a bit. We went looking for a home. You know, we don't have a house yet.
Any luck?
A little bit of luck, so that's good. And Jody invited us both over for dinner. You didn't make it. You missed a great meal. Fabulous cook, darling.
Yeah.
It was a great meal.
What did you make?
Nice. Well, we had meat and potatoes and various things, but the tricky thing about cooking was that I could use only boiled water because a lot of people all over the East Coast, but especially in New Jersey, at one point 1 million people were being told to boil the water they use for cooking and utensils and so forth because of contamination, because of the flooding.
That's right.
So you're still feeling okay, right?
I don't know if I pass out during this hour, everybody. With her cooking. No, at one point she even took the grapes off the table because you forgot what water you had used,
yeah,
right?
I worried that I hadn't used the boiled water in them anyway. So
I'm so thrilled to know that Jody cooks like that.
Yeah, although I could still use a lesson from you, Florence.
No thanks.
Anyway, we should talk about Hurricane Floyd because we thought we'd seen the last of it, right?
Who would have thought?
No, but up and down the East Coast, the devastating effects of the storm are lingering, and it's worse nowhere than in North Carolina. Vast stretches of the eastern part of the state are underwater this morning with rivers at their highest levels this century. And the worst news is some rivers are still rising, and forecasters are calling for more rain tonight and tomorrow. Later today, President Clinton will get a first-hand look at the devastation when he visits one of the hardest-hit towns, Tarboro, North Carolina. NBC's Jim Avila is there. And Jim, what will the president be seeing there later today?
Good morning, Jody. He'll be here in Tarboro, and you can see behind me, Main Street is really on the edge here of this vast floodwater area of all of eastern North Carolina. The problem here, of course, as you've been saying, is that people don't have water, they don't have electricity, and they're cut off as far as their roads are concerned as well. The Coast Guard taking supplies to the stranded as Floyd's wrath moves downstream. Residents on boats searching for neighbors and their animals.
Never seen anything like this in my life.
The Navy's helicopter fleet moving in to rescue residents trapped by rising waters in Greenville, North Carolina. The river cresting there today. Plucking the frightened from rooftops. This family all winched into the helicopter in a safety basket. The Navy crews have performed more than 500 rescues just like this one.
It's probably the most gratifying thing I've ever felt, being out there able to help people.
Entire communities with only what they can carry in their arms, airlifted to dry land. The shelters now filled with more than 10,000 Floyd refugees. Entire towns like this one, Princeville, the first African-American incorporated city in the nation, founded by free slaves in 1896, now totally wiped out.
We were just at a point where we were building our tourism, starting to do some things that we wanted to do to accentuate the history, and now everything is underwater.
Downriver in tiny Pine Tops, North Carolina, a huge family tragedy. An extended family of 12 escaping floodwaters in their boat overturned. 7 were swept away. All are believed dead.
He got 8 people out before he brought his family out. And one of them was an 85-year-old senior citizen and a baby not quite a year old.
So while Floyd is dissipated and well off into the Atlantic and gone away, the tragedy of Floyd has not yet ended and continues here in North Carolina. Today, the big efforts are from the Coast Guard and from the other military people to bring in supplies, a Berlin-style airlift going on here in this region to bring in food and water to these areas which are isolated and where the survivors still cling to their homes. Jody?
All right, Jim, thanks very much. NBC's Jim Avila. As we said, more rain is expected as early as tonight in the area of the worst flooding, which has local officials scrambling to get to people who are still stranded by the rising water. Sam Noble is the town manager of Tarboro, North Carolina. Good morning, Mr. Noble.
Good morning, Jody.
We just heard how bad things are in your area. What's your biggest concern right now?
Biggest concern right now is water, as far as water for health, fire protection, drinking water. Our water plant has been underwater since Thursday. Thank goodness the state and federal assistance is coming in as far as helicoptering in bottled water to give our citizens, but our big concern is simply water for sanitation and as well as fire protection purposes and also drinking water.
We're looking at some really telling videotape of the houses almost completely covered. What's the status of your river right now? Has it crested?
Yes, ma'am. As a matter of fact, as you can see behind me here, it's dropped to approximately 5 feet, and that's certainly good news for us, and that we're certainly happy to see the river going in the opposite direction instead of moving up.
I understand you were housing something like 3,000 people at Tarboro High School. Are they still there, and are you able to deal with that many people?
Yes, they're still there, and there's more than just Tarboro High School. We have 5 to 6 other shelters. They're all full. It's just a tremendous problem. One thing that's helped is getting in National Guard troops, state and federal law enforcement, all officers to help us. But over and above just now the shelters, we're going to have a problem weeks and months ahead as far as all these homeless people. Literally half of our employees lost their homes and are homeless as I speak.
Gosh, well, we sure hope you don't get too much more rain to compound the problems you have. Sam Noble, best to you and all the folks there in the Tarboro area. We appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am.
It really is amazing, some of the pictures that you see. A picture is worth 1,000 words. It's never more true than in a disaster.
To hear what they're going through.
Did you see this picture on the cover of the New York Times? This one down here. When you first look at it, you're not sure what you're seeing, but it's a bunch of pigs clinging to the top of their barn.
Right. You know, that is so amazing. Growing up on a farm, I know pigs love to wallow in mud and things like that. I've never seen a pig swim. Do they
You know,
swim?
actually, I was wondering the same thing, to tell you the truth, is how they stayed afloat to get up there. You know, they lost over 100,000 hogs, over 1 million chickens, and it's just amazing the losses they've had in terms of agriculture and contributing to the contamination. As a matter of fact, the carcasses of those animals, too, is becoming a big problem for them.
Contamination is a problem. It's an economic loss for the farmers there.
Right.
And it's, you know, they supply
all of us. You go to buy bacon,
and chicken and
you're going to
stuff all
find
over
out
the country.
what kind of problems you're having. They're having that really translate into problems that we're going to have, too. So hopefully things will get better for them.
Yeah, we'll be
hope
seeing
so.
the effects of that for